morning, everybody. Let me first thank 1Renato Blockchain Lab for the invitation to this event. It's the second time I'm here in Shanghai. I was here in Shanghai 2 years ago at the same event, and I was trying to share with the audience what a company like the one I'm working with, which I will introduce in a few seconds, wanted to do using blockchain as a disruptive element for innovating the offering. Today I'm going to share what we have done and what we are planning to do in the near future using blockchain as a fundamental element in our business. The company I work for, and first of all, my name is Renato Grottola, and I am working as Digital Transformation Director for this company. The company I'm working for is not a startup. It's a company founded 155 years ago in Norway, and it's fully owned by a non-profit foundation. What are we doing? We are in the so-called industry of trust. So we have a lot to do with blockchain, if we consider blockchain as a kind of trust machine. And we provide trust in several kinds of transactions. And we provide trust by delivering a number of services such as certification, independent verification, due diligence, a number of activities that are basically making sure that in a transaction between the customer and the supplier, there is enough trust for the transaction to be executed. So as you may imagine, when we were start looking at blockchain as a potential technology, a few years ago, we started this journey in 2015, and when we were reading statements such as blockchain is going to kill any kind of intermediary, I was feeling like a turkey the day before the Thanksgiving Day. We said, okay, there is no more room for us in our business life. So we were start looking at this technology, I would say, trying to understand how we could protect ourselves from that. But we soon realized that this technology for a company like GL, and for many companies, I think, is a fantastic opportunity for creating new form of business value. Let me share with you the rationale for that. The first element I would like to point out today is that trust is the fundamental fuel for making any kind of transaction works. So trust is essential not only when you exchange monetary value between a customer and supplier. Trust is a precondition for any form of transaction to be executed. And for in our normal business life, the cost of trust is something we implicitly accept when we accept to pay something for a given product or a given service. Trust as a cost. Therefore, so far, there are a number of services, a number of business models that may be possible if there is enough trust, that cannot be executed because today the cost of trust is still higher compared to the value of the single transaction. And the third element, which I would like to point out as a basis for further discussion, is that the impact of digitalization of trust is that it's basically changing the nature of transaction and therefore is changing the kind of trust is needed for executing a transaction. To give you a concrete example, just think of machine-to-machine transaction or human-less transaction. This is a kind of transaction which the massive IoT adoption will let boom. We will have trillions of transactions on a daily basis, or which will transport relative little value, but we will have a higher number of transactions and a much higher frequency of execution of this transaction. Today, there are not yet, how can I say, affordable trust for making this transaction from an economic point of view viable. So, this is an important area in which blockchain could really shape the future. Why? Because, first of all, and you as a developer knows much better than me, blockchain is basically transforming the trust creation process. It's replacing certain elements of trust which are societal and emotional with some form of computational trust, adding also much more transparency and making sure that this process of trust building could be completely or almost decentralized. So far, companies like GL have been acting as middlemen, have been acting as intermediary in order to provide the necessary trust for a transaction to be executed. And of course, a question for us is, are we still needed in the future? If there is a technology such as blockchain, is there still a need of a company like us in the society? Is blockchain sorting out any kind of trust issue in any kind of transaction? Well, the answer is partly yes, and let's see why. Because if we talk about, in a digital world, if we talk about value exchange of certain assets which are purely digital, well, the answer is there is no need for a middleman to be there. The blockchain in itself is able to grant all necessary elements that are making sure that that transaction could be properly executed. In this case, blockchain is the necessary trust element. There is no additional need of trust for a transaction of a digital asset to be provided. In the real world, in the physical world, when digital transactions are involving physical products, services, goods, processes, or even people, well, this is not enough. And the reason is that you need to still make sure that what you are, the information bases you are using for taking a decision, which are representing the physical product, or let's say the service in itself, they are really corresponding to the truth. And this blockchain cannot execute. So, blockchain will still be a fundamental element in the trust receipt, but it will be not enough to make sure that when you are transacting physical objects, when you are dealing with physical objects, with processes, with non-native digital assets, that technology will be enough. And this is the reason why we are so deep into this technology, and we are trying, in partnership with a specific blockchain platform, which is WeChain, we are trying to deploy a new concept, which we announced already 2 years ago, which we call digital assurance, and which is a combination of blockchain plus a number of other activities which are human-based or are data-based, which are providing all the necessary elements to ensure that the transaction involving physical goods, assets, or processes is trustable. Not only towards in a pure customer and supplier relationship, but it's also trustable in front of any kind of stakeholder, starting from public administration as an example. Let me just go a bit deeper into it. Of course, when we started doing this journey, we thought that it was extremely important before shaping new services, designing new businesses based on this technology to walk the talk. So to try on our own shoulder what blockchain could do. So the first implementation we did, and this was a project which GL developed together with Deloitte and WeChain, was to work on something which is extremely valuable for us. When we execute any kind of building trust activities, the ending game for us has always been, since 155 years, to release a statement. A statement could be a management system certificate, this is the example here, or any kind of declaration. Well, the first very concrete, small thing we did was to transform this statement into a digital asset. So today, our assurance statement are basically non-fungible tokens. They could be shared and exchanged between actors, and they are basically representing on their own as non-fungible token the declaration that that process or that product is compliant with certain regulations. These statements are onboarding smart contracts, so validity, authenticity could be checked by anybody immediately. If there are problems, the certificate, the statement could be immediately withdrawn without any major risk of counterfeit. So this solution, which we released first time around the end of 2017, now is fully operational and in production, and is powered by the Vicentor blockchain. And I mean, as a side effect of this first activity, we will now start from the end of this year to offer to our customer this platform for enabling them to create and share with their own customers any kind of compliance declaration. In the near future, and this is an important element to give you an idea of what mass adoption could be, these digital assets will be hosted into a digital wallet, which we are going to provide to our 900,000 customer contacts. This project will be delivered by the end of January 2020, and again, this project is done in cooperation with, of course, the chain and Deloitte. Just to give you an idea, yesterday we heard from Sandy Lu that Bitcoin community is worth 470,000 active users. By January 2020, we will cover 900,000 users with this wallet, which will contain this digital asset, but which will enable also many other features, such as access to blockchain-powered ecosystem. When you talk about blockchain in connection to supply chain, you very often focus on the benefit and the value that blockchain could bring in increasing the resolution and the efficiency of any kind of traceability activity. You may, using blockchain, create a kind of track rail of trust that is basically able to follow a product across the entire supply chain. Of course, this kind of solution, the traceability solution, the so-called track and trace solution, are an immediate and essential evidence of the value that blockchain could create in the supply chain industry. But we strongly believe that the real potential of adoption of blockchain technology goes far beyond applying it in supply chain, in classic supply chain. The real potential of blockchain technology is in the capacity, the possibility to create communities, to create ecosystems, which are, let's say, the basic organizational entity that are enabling new form of business, new economic business model, such as those based on sharing and circular economy. We believe that the future of blockchain is very strongly connected with any kind of business model which is based on sharing or circular economy principle. That's where the benefit of blockchain, and in particular the benefit of tokenization, will be much more evident. Let me give you a few examples of what we have been doing. Let's do a step back and come back to a classic supply chain. Since January 2019, this solution is available. This is a solution which we are providing to our food and beverage customer for the time being. And this solution is basically combining the track and trace facility that blockchain could offer to certain kind of business considerations that are extremely important today for companies. We were at the beginning of this presentation talking about trust, and there is a fundamental trust shift in the society. Individuals, and in particular millennials, are more and more relying on what's inside the product rather than on the trust that the brand is providing to them. So this solution is basically combining our classic verification activities with the power of blockchain to basically bring to any kind of consumer an authentic story of that product. It's combining the benefit of blockchain, the traceability element, with all relevant information that are offered through a web app to a consumer when the consumer is directly engaging with the product. This solution is fully in place, has been launched in Italy, involving 3 winemakers. Among the 3, the largest Italian winemakers. And as you may know, Italy is the largest wine producer in the world. So we talk about a potential market of 2.7 billion bottles of wine per year, only in Italy. And this solution is fully operational and in production already. Again, it's powered by the chain of blockchain. Let me spend a few words on the future. I just said that the future of blockchain is in combination with any kind of form of circular economy business model. And what is our future, at least we strongly believe on that, is to create an ecosystem in which blockchain could be used at the same time to incentivize good behavior and to, let's say, boost and catalyze any kind of form of implementation of circular economy principle aimed at reducing certain elements which are considered as externalities, such as, for example, CO2 emission, or as another example, activities which are aiming to increase the share of products which are recycled and recovered by the supply chain. This is possible by using the power of tokenization and by making sure that any kind of incentive form which is injected into the platform is reaching the right entity at the right time without any possibility of counterfeit. We believe that this will be an incredible opportunity for blockchain to become something which is adopted at a very high and extensive site. This is not just an announcement. So, we recently, in July, signed an agreement with a small state in Europe. It's called San Marino Republic. And we are start working with them in order to create an ecosystem which will involve all citizens. We talk about only 35,000 people. Every citizen will have his own wallet. And every citizen will receive an incentive if he's properly behaving. What does it mean? If citizens are using shared mobility instead of their own car, they will be incentivized. If they are basically adopting activities that are basically aiming at reducing emission or at saving energy or at saving water, they will receive an incentive. This incentive will be calculated through algorithms that will be embedded into smart contract and will be verified by us in terms of correspondence to the reality. And every citizen will then get a benefit by accessing the ecosystem. And these tokens will be accepted by the government as tax credit. And they will be used also to buy discounted product in the shops of the Republic. This is for us a fantastic opportunity to test in a real case with a small state how this technology could be able to deliver value in full compliance with all existing regulation. Let me share at the end of this presentation just a few words about what we learned into this journey. Let me start from the first bullet. Well, the first thing is that the proof of concept era has ended. So it's no longer time for company to announce projects which are just proof of concept. People expect more. They expect to see that it's possible to have a large adoption of this solution. So we are no longer using blockchain as a fantastic PR tool. We only communicate about that when we have something concrete to share which works and which is not just a set of slides or a nice PR communication. The second element is that not all blockchain are fitting for purpose. So choosing a blockchain that is basically supporting certain business logic, certain enterprise logic is fundamental, because the value is not in the technology in itself, but is in the intersection point between technology and business processes. So you need to find a partner which understands the business and not only the technology. This has been for us the case in the partnership with Chain. The third element is that the worst enemy for blockchain adoption is not having adverse regulation, but is the lack of regulation. The absence of regulation is really slowing down any kind of process adoption by enterprises. If there are no regulation, very few companies will be so brave to move forward with blockchain adoption. So this is something that needs to be addressed by government if they really want this blockchain, this technology to take off. The fourth element on which I strongly believe is the fact that enemies of blockchain adoption are in the community in itself. The debate between altcoiners and onecoiners, those that are basically fighting between Bitcoin and the rest of the world, are those that are preventing this technology to get massive adoption. I think the blockchain society, the blockchain community should be focused on promoting adoption beyond fintech and beyond, let's say, payment activities in order to make sure that enterprises understand the real value of this community and the real value of this technology. And the last point is that the real potential, as I already said, that blockchain technology could offer to society is really around supporting the transition between linear economy and any kind of circular economy business model. That's it for the time being. Many thanks for listening to me.